Fantasy Premier League managers, welcome back. Game week 23 is upcoming. It is going to be a Friday evening kickoff, which means your teams need to be ready by 6 o'clock Friday night for this game week. What we're going to do this week is I'm going to put the spotlight first before we jump into my team, as that seems to be your guys' favourite part of the show. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. There's no goalkeeper to be recommended this week, as I think we should all have our goalkeepers prioritised by now. The first player we're going to bring up on the spotlight this week is actually going to be Aston Villa's new acquisition, and that is Digne. He's been signed from Everton, and he's actually made a pretty good impression, in my opinion, for his first game under new boss Steven Gerrard. It's worth noting that when he was in his prime over the past 3 seasons at Everton, he was one of the main creators for them. He picked up 22 Fantasy Premier League assists since the 2018 season, which is only bettered by Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold of Liverpool over the last 3 seasons across all defenders. And that's a fantastic company to be in. Now you're probably thinking, Zenith, he picks up 0 points against United. Yes, he did. He conceded twice and picked up a yellow card. But it's worth noting that firstly, he went straight into the team. And then when you look at his heat map for the game, he was extremely far forward, which is probably how Gerrard wants his wingbacks to play. He picked up 25 touches in the final third, which was the second most out of any Aston Villa player, created 2 chances and also had 2 shots in the box as well. And one of the things worth mentioning is there are a couple of teams that are tipped to potentially get a double game week this week as well, and Aston Villa are one of them. Now we won't know until right before the deadline, and these fixtures are likely to be played around the 5th or 6th of February, which is the FA Cup weekend. If you are still unsure about whether Digne is the man, let's just have a look at their next 6 fixtures. First up, we've got his old club Everton, and we all know how it goes when players return to clubs, especially when they leave under bad circumstances. This could be a great opportunity for him to seek out a little bit of revenge. In the 3 fixtures after that, he's got Leeds, Newcastle and Watford, all of whom are 3 of the bottom 6 sides in the Prem at the moment, before he faces 9th place Brighton, and then he goes on to face Southampton as well. So there's opportunity not just for clean sheets here against poor lower teams in the table, but we've already established how far forward he plays. He got 6 crosses in that United game as well, created 2 opportunities and even managed a couple of shots as well. So this man could really see form of old from his previous seasons and get some big points on the board in the upcoming game weeks. Next up in the spotlight, we have another defender, and that is Andy Robertson. Whilst Mohammed Salah is still out, Jota is potentially the go-to midfielder along with Bobby Firmino. However, Mane and Salah will shortly be returning from the African Cup of Nations. And when they do, now that Bobby Firmino is fit again, that means there's only going to be 3 positions available up top for these 4 attackers. And that means Bobby and Jota are probably going to be rotating again, maybe even Mane, given how poor of a season he's having at the moment, compared to his usual standards at least. So this means for me, I'm going to be looking at a double up of Liverpool defenders, and that is going to be Andy Robertson here. You have a look at Robertson's fixtures over the last 7 games he's featured in. He's had 6 attacking returns and 4 clean sheets, and the fixtures that he has upcoming as well are glorious. Crystal Palace, Leicester, Burnley and Norwich. I'm looking at 3 clean sheets out of 4 there, as well as multiple attacking returns, and I think he is going to do well, especially when you look at what he did last week as well, as he rivaled Trent Alexander-Arnold for points, who was my captain last week, and he actually outscored Trent by collecting all 3 bonus points. Now you're probably thinking, well, what are you going to do in game week 27 when he blanks? And if you've already got the likes of Jota and Trent, that means you're going to have 3 Liverpool players, so you're going to be relying heavily on your bench in game week 27. Well, if you haven't played one of your 2 free hits yet this season, this could be a potential opportunity for you to use it game week 27, especially if you have other assets such as Chelsea players who also blank in this game week as well. So the free hit is going to allow you to take out those Chelsea and Liverpool players for 1 week before they all return in game week 28, and that's when I'm going to potentially be looking to wildcard as well, just to give you a bit of a glimpse into the future. Moving on to midfield, we're going to stick with the theme of Aston Villa and Liverpool, and if you can't guess who I'm about to talk about, your head has been well and truly buried. Philippe Coutinho has made a return to the Premier League, starting under his former teammate Steven Gerrard for Aston Villa. He came on as an impact substitution against Manchester United and got in the thick of things straight away. Now his assist wasn't granted, as it looked like the ball actually came off of Fred, which was the correct decision. However, he did pinch a goal. I think that his return to fitness is not going to take long compared to what people think. And when you've got young players like Ollie Watkins in front of him, as well as other players like Danny Ings who can score against anyone, this man is going to be crucial to Aston Villa picking up points. He's going to be involved in the goals, whether it's creating them or scoring them himself. We've already discussed the fixtures of Aston Villa, and he's a man to keep an eye on. His price will be locked until this evening, but it's worth noting at the time I've made this video, he's been transferred in by over 400,000 Premier League managers already. For the next player, we're going to go approximately 30 miles to the east and look at Leicester's James Maddison. He's been in red hot form over the last 7 game weeks with fantastic returns. Of those 7 fixtures, 4 of them have been double figure hauls, where he picked up 16 against Watford, 10 against Southampton, 16 against Newcastle and a further 10 against Manchester City. He also scored in their narrow defeat to Tottenham earlier this week as well, and he seems to be fixture proof. He's on a red hot streak, and granted he doesn't have the nicest of games upcoming. Next up he faces Brighton, who are 9th in the table. He's then got Liverpool at Anfield. They then go on to play 4th place West Ham before visiting Wolves at Molineux, who are the 2nd best defensive team in the league. Then the 5th game week, they're actually going to blank in game week 27. So bring him in at your own risk. He's currently in just under 14% of teams, and he's only been transferred in 54,000 times this week. So he is still a bit of a differential. So if he does score you points, he will help you climb those rankings. But even though those 4 fixtures are difficult games and they are hard games, Maddison has shown that he can score against anyone at the moment, and he's on red hot form. And the final player of the spotlight this week is going to be Newcastle's Saint Maximin. A lot of the problem with him in the past has been his ability to put minutes on the board, where he's been quite injury prone. This season we haven't seen that from him. He's made appearances in all 22 of Newcastle's games, of which he's completed 75 minutes or more in 21 of them. There's just been one fixture where he featured for 45 minutes, but he has been a regular and consistent starter for the Geordie outfit this season. It's also worth noting that he scored in each of his last 2 games, and his fixtures do look nice and tidy for the upcoming schedule. He's got Leeds, followed by Everton, and both of these teams have been pretty leaky at the back as well, and not the most defensively sound. And Newcastle are going to be looking for more goals so they can secure some points so that they don't get relegated this season. After that, they've got Aston Villa, West Ham and Brentford as well. So there's opportunity still for more points there. As we've seen, West Ham have conceded. Brentford are still conceding at the moment as well. And Villa, we still aren't sure on how defensively sound they are, but they have had some new signings. Anyways, guys, that is the roundup for the spotlight this week. What we're going to do now is jump in and look at the changes that I've made to my team. So as you can see, I've actually brought in one of my own spotlight players this week, and that is Andy Robertson. I'm going to be removing Rudiger, who is going to see some blanks over the next couple of weeks due to the FIFA World Cup and other competitions for Chelsea, as they're only going to have 2 fixtures in the next 5 game weeks before they have a fixture swing with a beautiful sea of 2 fixture difficulty rated games. Robertson's only in 3.2% of teams at the moment. He's a fantastic differential, and if he's in your team and he scores points, you are going to fly up the leagues as well. And that is why he is coming in this week for me, and him and Trent will probably stay in my team now until the end of the season. Before we talk about the final defender in my starting 11, we are going to focus on David De Gea. Ivan Toney's 85th minute goal cost me a total of 7 points this week. However, he is my keeper this week. There's no point in me starting still, as he doesn't trump Sanchez in the Brighton side. As you can see on your screen just next to me, I've got 3 City players ready to go. City are going to be playing Southampton this weekend, and the deputising Forster hasn't managed to keep a clean sheet since McCarthy has left the squad injured. This bodes very well for me, as I'm hoping Cancelo can keep a clean sheet, and even if he doesn't, I think there's the potential for more attacking returns as always with him, as he picked up the assist for De Bruyne's goal at the weekend as well. De Bruyne is what makes City tick, and for me, I think he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet and is actually undroppable when he's fit, even under the likes of Pep Roulette. Guardiola never takes him out of the team and he always starts. I'm not as confident in Bernardo Silva, but I've got other problems in my team that I'm dealing with at the moment, and I'm hoping that he will keep ticking over nicely and could potentially get in some returns. I would like to keep 2 attacking City players, but who would I even take Bernardo out for? At least he starts week in, week out, whereas we see rotation to the like of Jack Grealish, Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden. Foden was going to be someone I tipped this week, as he has been playing fantastically, and when he does start, he plays in that false 9 role or he plays out wide, which gives him the opportunity to get into goal scoring positions, but for now I'm going to stick with Bernardo. On the opposite side of the screen, and joining in another triple up in my side, we do have Diogo Jota. He's going to be deputising for Mohammed Salah, but once he returns, Jota will be out, Salah will be in. I have plenty in the bank to make this change. They come up against Crystal Palace this weekend, and I'm hoping that Jota can do the business along with the likes of Bobby and the defenders that I've got. I'm hoping Jota does put up the points so that his price goes up a little bit more as players continue to bring him in, so that when I sell him, he's worth a little bit more than what I bought him for. Demarai Gray continues to survive in my team because at 5.5 million, he isn't hurting me too much. What is hurting me is the money in the bank. Now, I can easily take a -4 hit and take him out and bring in the likes of Rafinha, who has looked fantastic for Leeds even when they've been playing awfully, but as well now that they seem to be turning a new corner, and they performed well against West Ham at the weekend, winning 3-2. It was heartbreaking, I'm not going to lie. So Gray could easily make that switch to Rafinha, or another alternative could be one of my spotlight players in Philippe Coutinho. This is going to be a decision I wait until the very last minute to make. If either Leeds or Villa get a double game week 23, I probably will lose Gray for one of these two. With that being said, Demarai Gray, after his Villa game, has Newcastle, Leeds and Southampton. So good fixtures again for a budget midfielder who played well earlier this season, but we're not sure how he's going to do under caretaker manager. Next up, I've got my boys in claret and blue, Bowen and Antonio, who I'm hoping will be ruining David De Gea's clean sheet. Bowen continued his good form from the previous game weeks with another goal against Leeds, and he probably should have had a second at the end had he just headed the ball. I'm sure you've all spoke about this. Why did he use his chest? If he headed it, we all would have got another extra 5 points for him. We would have picked up an extra point in the Premier League. But alas, still love Bowen. He's been playing fantastic. The man's on fire. And with United still continuing to concede, he can exploit this as well. His partner and my striker, Antonio, picked up an assist in that Leeds fixture as well. And I'm hoping that he can keep his run of form going too. A lot of people keep talking about removing him from their teams, but it is worth noting that he is still the highest scoring Fantasy Premier League striker at the moment. Now, if he's playing badly and still managing to hold on to first place, what does that say about everyone else in that forward position? Short-term gains or long-term gains? Fantasy Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. Stick with this man. Given that one of Watford's fixtures was cancelled in game week 22, we all probably feel a little bit underwhelmed by Dennis. The 45-minute runabout he got against Spurs, the blank against Newcastle, the missing fixture, he's now got Norwich. Bottom of the table, he's going to want to be scoring again. Let's see what happens here. He continues to start. As we move to my bench, you can see that Gelhardt is currently last on the bench, and that is because he was flagged as quite unlikely to play. But since making this video, that situation has changed. He is now going to be my first substitution on the bench, especially as I've been stung by Keane in the past couple of weeks since I brought him in. I now want him all the way down and third on my subs bench, especially as I have tipped Digne and Coutinho, as well as Watkins potentially to do well against an Everton side that have not been resound or solid in any form at the back so far this season. So guys, that's my team in the roundup for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments below. I will respond to them before the deadline as always. Much love, take care, and good luck. Until next time, goodbye.